I'm kind of curious. Sea of Remnants early access. So Win to Lose did upload a video on it to see. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what they
Since the
think.
dawn of time, mankind has always wondered what lies beyond the endless ocean. Well, now we know thanks to 21st century satellite imaging, deep sea mapping technology, and that one guy named Frank who dropped his phone off a cruise ship and tracked it with Find My iPhone. Why is there always a Frank on every boat? But what if we didn't have cutting-edge space technology, deep sea drones, or Apple AirTags? Well, that's exactly how you'll feel exploring the beautiful, mysterious world of Sea of Remnants.
Oh, whoa, what the fuck? You can't customize your ship.
Sea of Remnants is an upcoming open-world game with a vast ocean where no two expeditions feel the same, with giant monsters to conquer like this great ape terrorizing a poor merchant. Yeah, take this and that and this.
That is pretty funny though, I'll be honest with you.
And with that same great ape piloting a boat shooting cannons at you. In hindsight, this actually makes a lot of sense since the great ape was on a remote island, so how else would that ape have gotten there if not for his boating license? Ranging from its unique and very distinct art style to its turn-based combat sprinkled with real-time naval combat, there just simply isn't anything else that feels remotely similar
the Black
to the
Flags
time I
aspect
spent
of the
in
game.
the Sea of Remnants. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored by Sea of Remnants, but as always, my goal is to simply present to you what I experienced. The technical test was short and sweet, and I've sunk in around 4 hours of gameplay and even managed to sunk a ship as well. I'll talk about the story, the combat, the gameplay loop, and much more. But please keep in mind that due to how early of a build this is, everything is extremely subject to change. The story begins with a highly artistic introduction, as you row your boat through an out-of-this-world experience, alongside an all-eating narwhal, and proof that there is an edge to the end of the ocean. Flat Earthers, you win this round. There are ghost ships, stunning presentations, and interesting narratives that have felt engaging and captivating. The technical test only had Chinese voice acting, and the English subtitles honestly need a bit of work, but we can of course expect additional languages to be added and improvements to subtitles. The voice acting here is phenomenal though, and making these choices actually felt a bit cinematic to me. The game is really going all in on its own unique style, and clearly isn't afraid of experimenting in every aspect of its design. Anyway, after your character finally wakes up, we have suffered the stereotypical memory loss trope. But fortunately, this is actually properly addressed in lore, as wiping out at sea makes this a common occurrence for the puppet folk residents of Orbitopia. There is also quite a bit of character customization already, allowing you to change many aspects of your main character's design, ranging from wood hair to wood facial parts to wood color. Personally, I was going for a King Vegeta look, so how do you think I did? As for the story and the world, it feels very piratey. Like you're truly thrown into a world dominated and run by those who want to find the One Piece and become the Pirate King. There's swashbuckling, shady mahjong gambling, endless drinking, and even bar fights with the local portly woman, who by the way, absolutely wrecked me. Sea of Remnants is packed with surprises around every corner, and they all work together to make the world feel alive, chaotic, and unapologetically pirate-coded. Heck, you can even get wasted challenging others to a drinking contest, but in typical pirate fashion, you've got the tolerance of an elephant and can shake it off like it's another Tuesday. Then we are introduced to, no joke, Whitebeard, as well as being introduced to the brash, reckless, and equally charming heroine of the story, RS. The cutscenes are light-hearted, well-animated, and again, further enhance the world building and general atmosphere of the entire game. Unsurprisingly, we get dragged into another bar fight, this time against Whitebeard, who, no joke, doesn't take us seriously, just sits in his chair and throws his liquor bottles at us. The main city, Orbtopia, does a great job of looking like a place for no good pirates to take up residence. Although now is a good time to point out that yes, there were some bugs here and there, but that is to be fully expected given how early of a build this game is currently in. Shortly after our fight with Whitebeard, we meet up with the main mysterious heroine, whose name again is just RS, where even mundane activities like cooking in this game are highly stylized and more engaging than expected. Exploration feels fresh as you explore an open world, fight various enemies throughout, and venture through different biomes such as lush junglescapes, underground caves, and abandoned pirate ships. Sea of Remnants does a great job of making its world feel alive and to keep you on your toes wondering what you'll encounter next. Frankly, this is only scratching the surface of the game's world building, as you even encounter the Navy, who typically in fictional pirate worlds are an antagonistic force towards pirates, but here we can see them partying alongside us. With multiple factions, plenty of mysteries, and a vast ocean to explore, Sea of Remnants is sure to be a treat for those who enjoy complex world building and those story aficionados out there. Now with the story out of the way, let's take a look at the game's combat. If you're familiar with certain turn-based games, Sea of Remnants will feel both familiar and fresh at the same time. It's got the usual staples of turn-based combat, like turn orders and various moves and abilities. Sea of Remnants also has reinforcement points, which are dice that function similarly to skill points, and you can spend them to enhance an attack's potency. These reinforcement points can be allocated as desired across your team, like making your single target damage main character hit harder against a high priority target, or enhancing RS's AoE attacks to wipe out groups of mobs, or even enhancing your healing. Each character also has an ultimate, which appears to build up from utilizing skills and getting hit. Similar to other turn-based games that I'm sure many of you in my audience play, you're able to use your ultimate whenever, effectively cutting in line in the turn order.
Wait, whenever?
While most of the fodder in this game are, well, fodder, fortunately the developers have taken this into consideration, and you have a built-in Acuron ability to one-shot fodder overworld mobs with your overworld attack. This is incredible for speeding up mundane farming and also reflects the developers being in touch with the modern gaming environment and frankly just respecting our time here.
That's good.
Alternatively, against enemies that cannot be one-shotted by the overworld attack, this overworld attack serves as a battle initiation tool where if you roll high enough dice, you'll open up the fight with a powerful slash and a significant advantage. The few boss battles I encountered all had their own unique identity as well. The first Whitebeard fight was against a clearly overpowered enemy who didn't take us too seriously, while the second fight revolved around protecting an annoying but helpful prick named Jeff from getting beat up by the giant ape. And while those two fights felt very tutorial-y, the third boss fight already felt quite challenging against this giant bat, where I almost died and had to actually fully utilize character roles. Fortunately, the game gave me a healer and I also brought a buffer, all of which felt instrumental for taking out this giant bat while I was underleveled. So yeah, we have the freedom to build our teams how we wish, along with the freedom to tackle challenges when we want to, like when you're underleveled. I certainly could have grinded and farmed some levels in random gear, but instead took on the giant bat while underleveled, but thanks to my decades of turn-based gaming experience, I managed to defeat it. Yes, that crucial job experience is on my resume, thank you very much. Alright, now I'd certainly be remiss if I didn't talk about the other form of combat in the game, naval combat. While I was unfortunately only able to experience a single naval bout, the one experience I had battling a giant ape and his boat was a boatload of fun. You need to properly steer your ship for the best possible angle to angle your cannons at. Then you can take control of the cannoneer to begin blasting your enemy. In this specific fight, you borrow RS's tutorial boat, which promptly got annihilated by the friendly local volcano. The contrast between the turn-based character combat system and the real-time naval combat was certainly a breath of fresh air. This form of naval combat in my opinion has a lot of promise, as when we finally get a new boat, this new boat has actual abilities like dashing, a barrage-like attack, and a full crew. There is also a ton of potential for upgrading your boat and customizing it and collecting various abilities and engaging in epic boat-on-boat violence that will certainly scratch that itch for many pirate live-action adaptation enthusiasts.
Interesting.
Now, the next bits and pieces are about progression and are things that I'm not 100% certain about. So please take the following with a giant grain of salt. There appears to be some roguelike elements as you pick up random gear and random skills, which all disappear into the Sea of Oblivion after you get wiped out. As you voyage into the Sea of Oblivion, I believe each voyage is intended to be its own unique experience, thanks to these roguelike elements. Since you're not able to bring back everything you grab, instead you trade various loots that you've collected in your voyage with merchants, who will then bring back those account progression items to the main town. This is definitely a unique approach and something I wasn't expecting. With these temporary run-specific related items, with the ability to trade various drops for more impactful account progression items, and just a game like this actually being roguelike. There also appears to be some sort of potential daily and weekly limits to what these merchants offer, and as such, this is the pseudo-stamina system. Regardless to say, in the amount of time I had to play the game, I wasn't able to come close to depleting what the merchants had to offer, so again, please take all of this with an ocean full of salt. This is certainly a fresh approach to the usually stale progression loop of what most modern free-to-play titles offer. As for the characters, there's certainly a colorful cast of misfits. The game gave me 5 new temporary crewmates, each with distinct roles and abilities, along with some of them being black voucher rarity, and others being silver voucher rarity. Which one is more rare, honestly I'm not too sure, but I wasn't able to obtain any additional characters with the amount of time I spent playing. But there are tons of named characters that have fully fleshed out combat abilities, like the local portly woman at the pub who beat the crap out of me at the beginning of my journey. I expect that we'll be able to recruit a ton of these various NPCs as we progress in our adventure. Now, given that this game is likely going to be free to play, my guess is that the monetization might lie with the characters in some form or fashion. While playing, I also accumulated these Evernight gems, which appear to be some sort of premium currency. Unfortunately, that's about all the information I managed to get in terms of potential monetization, so until we have more information, this is all the insight I can provide. Anyway, back to the characters. As you've seen, each character has a set of abilities and a role in combat. The main character walks the path of the hunt, excelling in single target damage. Meanwhile, RS walks the path of erudition and excels in AoE damage and applying burn. Next we have Jasmine, my personal favorite Harmony character, who appears to give the selected character an extra turn, which is very overpowered in my opinion. There are certainly going to be a lot of interesting roles and playstyles, and frankly I wish I had more time to test them all out, but alas, until next time. All in all, Sea of Remnants left a really strong first impression with me. Between the vibrant world, chaotic pirate energy, stylish turn-based combat, and promising naval mechanics, it genuinely feels like a title that's trying to carve out its own path in the ocean of games that we see today. Yes, this is a very early build, and yes, it's a bit rough around a few of the edges, but what's already here shows a lot of ambition and heart. And if the devs continue to build on this foundation, polish up the rough spots, and deliver some fair monetization practices, this could be something really special, or at least a fun download to shoot cannons at monkeys on boats. So if you like pirates, chaos, stylish combat, or just want to get wrecked by a drunk lady in a bar, keep an eye on Sea of Remnants. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
That's a interesting game, to be honest. At least from like the 30-minute from like the 30-minute gameplay or so that we saw specifically about the game itself, it seems pretty promising. I like the art style. I like the puppetry art style of it, actually. Not a huge fan of the OST, but maybe other OSTs are probably better. They didn't talk about the monetization. Well, it's an early build, so I'd be curious to see if we hear more about it. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting kind of rabbit hole to walk into, in my personal opinion. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, because I saw this one before. I didn't think it was a fucking gacha game. I thought it was like a first person, like, I mean not first person, but I thought it was like an actual like game, single player game to, you know, you buy and you play it, you know. True. It's very super stylish. I'll be honest with you. It gives me the whatchamacallit. It kind of gives me that League of Legends vibe to it. They're heavily going onto that stylization with it. So.